all the damage done in the first. Cristiano Ronaldo's hat-trick, seeing Juve bag a 3-1 victory. This was quite a response, Gab.
Yeah, it was a tremendous response. I mean, you could see, like, there's always an edge with Ronaldo, but there was another incident we didn't see here where he ended up getting booked, but he contested a ball with the keeper, where in the end Cristiano pulls out, but if he hadn't pulled out, he might have decapitated Cranio. I mean, no suggestion of malice, but it just shows you kind of how badly and how committed he was in this game. I think he's very conscious of the fact that he had an awful match against Porto, and some of the criticism that came back. I mean, I'm putting words into his mouth now, but it's fine to criticize him for that game, but then all of a sudden it turned into something else. It turned into, should we move Cristiano on? Are Juve up to Cristiano's ambition? Is he performing to his wages? And this is a whole separate discussion, and probably not a very fair one to have simply on the back of that awful game against Porto.
I suppose critics would say, Jurgen, this is 4 days too late. It's all well and good putting in this sort of performance now against Cagliari. Where was it against Porto?
Well, I mean, if you kind of look closely at the game against Porto, obviously a couple of things went extremely wrong there for Juventus, but they were close. I mean, you can discuss that situation with the free kick where Ronaldo turns his back to the ball and got blamed then for kind of not staying strong and tall. As we coaches always say, that the ball should be strong and tall and should jump, and look and face the ball. But I think, a lot of journalists and a lot of people, fans out there, made it a little bit too easy to blame him for everything. I mean, obviously it's a big disappointment for Juventus to be out of the Champions League. It's a huge disappointment. But the way the team reacted today was wonderful to see, because it was not only the hectic now by Cristiano, it was the entire team. They wanted to correct something. They want to save the season. Obviously, they will definitely go into the Champions League for next season. It's going to be very, very difficult, to catch Inter if it's AC Milan or them. Pretty much impossible, I would say. But they still have the final of the Coppa Italia, so they can still win a trophy there. And all the talks, you cannot develop a young, dynamic, high-pressuring team if you keep Cristiano. I call them BS. Because if you have one guy really committed to success and to win and to have a grinding mentality in himself, this hunger, then it's Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he scored by now 23 goals in Serie A, because 23 goals in Serie A, you've got to score them first, So he's a leader, and you can build the pieces always around him. And a lot of people talk about transition, if you call it kind of transition of the entire team. You can call it that or not, doesn't really matter. You can develop things always with Cristiano at the same time, and that's what they hopefully gonna do.
Matteo?
It's been 5 days now with this nonsense in the media. Juventus need to reset. They need to move away from Cristiano Ronaldo, as if he's the one, by the way, scoring a goal a game, went over 30 goals last season in Serie A, that's somehow holding them back. How about not giving superstar wages to rotational midfielders? That's a start. The transfer market has been hit or miss. Ronaldo was one of the hits. And where was he on the Bentancur back pass? Was that him? Was it him taking over Demiral's body when they gave away the penalty? Or was it his fault that they played that poorly in the first leg? This has been Juventus throughout the season, that they play a good game, and then for 3 games, we have no idea what the identity of the squad is. And to now blame Ronaldo, I mean, Juventus are fortunate to have a once-in-a-lifetime type player playing for them. And now there's like this magical answer that, you move away from him, you focus on the youngsters. They go back to where they were before Ronaldo signed, which was a team that's not going to win the Champions League, that doesn't have that final piece to go over the edge. And who are you going to get with Ronaldo's wages? Are you going to get Erling Haaland? Are you going to just sign another superstar? Are you going to focus on the youngsters? You can still do that with have Ronaldo on the team. I don't get it.
Gab?
All right, couple of things. So, first of all, Ronaldo is going to most likely stay there at least until his contract expires. He's got a year left to go. That part's not going to change. I think Jurgen made a tremendous point about the fact that you can still transition and grow and develop the youngsters with Cristiano there, just in terms of leading by examples. People like Kulusevski and Chiesa show up to work, and they get to work with one of the greatest players of all time, and they see his work ethic and they see his commitment. How can that not make you any better? So I don't think Cristiano's what's standing in the way of the transition. Now, having said that, the guy makes an enormous amount of money. You've taken a huge financial hit. Juve is, because of COVID and a whole bunch of other things, including a whole bunch of stupid decisions they made in transfers and wages before Cristiano arrived, but also after he arrived, you're going to have to fix that. You've got a big hole there. And one way to reset it is if Cristiano moves, all of a sudden, it's not like you're going to go and take his $65 million a year salary and go give it to somebody else. No, you'll be able to pay down your debt, you'll be able to manage your debt, and you'll be able to reload with younger players who will hopefully grow. That's another way of doing things. And I'll tell you what, that is the way that Juve will have to go once Cristiano leaves. But I don't think it's a decision you make now this summer. I think you get to 2022 if Cristiano's still there, if he wants to stay, if he's still productive, then you have a chat about what you can afford to pay him and whether he wants to stay. It's as simple as that. But it's not as if all of a sudden Cristiano was the reason that Juve have been so good and won the titles the last 2 years, and then all of a sudden he has a terrible game, and then get rid of him and everything will be fine. No, it's not going to work that way in football. And I might add, by the way, this is by far Cristiano's best season at Juventus. This season, with Pirlo, without all those high-priced fancy veterans, without playing that defending counter football, this season with Pirlo, he's playing his best football. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.